There's plenty of accusations of using AI being thrown at legitimate artists, but I want to give you just one specific example, and then we'll move on to what this video is really about. I was at a bonfire a couple of weeks ago when I met a creator named Remy. He makes videos like this, where he takes his 240SX and edits it drifting into Call of Duty maps. And we were talking about his car and about content, and he was kind of complaining about how a lot of the comments that he's been getting lately on some of his newer videos are just accusing him of using AI. This guy is a real virtual effects artist who's way more talented than I am. But look at the very first comment on his most popular video. God, this makes me love AI. And all of his videos have comments like this. But this is just one example. This is happening across the board with any piece of art that anyone makes. But the thing is, people are so skeptical of everything being AI because so much of what we see and listen to online is just AI-generated slop now. You can't get away from it. And sure, in the case of YouTube Shorts that have hundreds of millions of views, it can be easy to spot that it isn't real. But what about paintings? What about drawings? What about music? Because it's going to get to a point fast where you can't tell that something is real or not unless the creator wants you to know. Lately, I've been listening to a band called the Velvet Sundown. They recently came across on my Discover Weekly playlist on Spotify, and I thought they were pretty good. When I went to check out the band, I saw that they had almost 500,000 monthly listeners. They're a verified artist on Spotify, and when you read about the band on their artist page, it tells a pretty interesting story. It talks about their debut album, the lyrics, and how their music is supposed to make you feel, saying things like, their music doesn't shout for your attention, it seeps in slowly, like a scent that suddenly takes you back somewhere you didn't expect. The band was formed by singer and Mellotron player Gabe Farrow, guitarist Lenny West, Milo Raines, who crafts the band's textured synth sounds, and free-spirited percussionist Orion Del Mar. Together, they quietly build the perfect sound to get lost in. But here's the thing. The band isn't even real. None of this music is real. Gabe Farrow, the singer and Mellotron player, doesn't exist. Neither do any of the other band members. Do you think that these songs and the lyrics within them have any meaning whatsoever when you know that they weren't recorded by a real person? More on that point later. I could not believe it. Not only that this fake band came up in my Discover Weekly playlist and I would have been none the wiser to them not existing had it not been for a fucking TikTok that caught my attention and led me to look deeper into the band, but also that the thing that I talked about in my last video is already happening with music. I'll fill you in since I know you haven't seen it. In my last video, I said that I give it a year, maybe two, before somebody comes along and you become a fan of them and the content that they make, only to find out later on down the road that they don't even exist and it was all AI generated from the start. Meanwhile, that same thing is already happening with music. And it happened to me while I was writing the script for this video. Imagine that. Call me naive, but I didn't think we were at this point yet. I've been duped. Now who knows how many of these monthly listeners are real people instead of just bots, but do you think it's an accident that this fake artist is showing up on Spotify's own recommendation playlists? Of course it's not. Because as it turns out, Spotify has been promoting ghost artists for a while now and trying to shove them down their listeners' throats without their knowledge. It wasn't enough to barely pay artists anything. They want to not have to pay artists at all. It's shameless and disgusting. We can't even have real music, played by real people who have something to say. Every piece of art and media on the internet is slowly getting replaced by artificially generated slop designed to appeal to an algorithm, all because of a CEO's fiduciary duty. So it's hard to blame people for thinking that content like Remy makes is AI, because there's a lot of people who would make something like that and try to put it out there as if it's real. But on the other side of the coin, it's easy to get upset with people who accuse you of using AI because you know how much work you put into whatever the thing that you made is. There's artists who have had their entire careers destroyed by a bombardment of accusations that the art they make is fake, because yes, AI art is fake art, which is the main thing that I want to talk about here. I've been doing a lot of research into AI art and the people who support it, and I think a lot of these people just don't understand what art is and why people like to consume it. Let's take Jason Allen as an example. He got pretty popular a couple of years ago when a piece that he created won first place at an art show at the Colorado State Fair. There was obviously a lot of controversy around this, but things would heat up even more when he would try to copyright his AI-generated painting, and the US Copyright Office said, no, you can't copyright an AI painting. This led to a lawsuit. Jason claimed during the lawsuit that he had tested hundreds of prompts when he was generating the image and that he made changes to the image after the fact in Photoshop. But when he refused to disclose the parts of the image that were done in Photoshop versus the ones that were AI generated, the Copyright Office again said no. This of course makes perfect sense because Jason created this piece, and I'm using the term created loosely here, using a tool called Midjourney. Midjourney is a pretty powerful program. You've probably heard of it before. It can do some pretty crazy stuff. But nothing that you tell Midjourney to make is art. And certainly, without a shadow of a doubt, nothing you tell Midjourney to create belongs to you. Midjourney stole the intellectual property of over 20,000 different artists to fill its database with art from all sorts of different categories to train the software what real art looks like so that it can better replicate it. The artists on that list range from Andy Warhol to Norman Rockwell to a 6-year-old who won a Magic the Gathering art competition. Seriously. This drawing was scraped from the internet by Midjourney to better understand how to replicate real art. Suffice to say, I hope you can see the hypocrisy in trying to copyright a piece made by Midjourney with the knowledge that Midjourney stole from thousands of artists to be able to make it in the first place. Jason has also said a lot about how AI is just simply another tool like a brush or a camera, and that he would challenge anybody to prove otherwise. A challenge that I will gladly accept, because AI is not like a camera or a brush. You don't create anything with AI. You just give it a prompt and it does all of the heavy lifting for you, and making a few changes after the fact in Photoshop doesn't change that. Saying AI is another tool like a brush or a camera is like going into a restaurant, ordering something off the menu, and then pretending like you cooked the food when it gets to your table. I'm looking at my camera right now, and I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. It doesn't do shit on its own. If I tell my camera to go to the beach and get some B-roll of a wave crashing while the sun sets behind it, it won't do that. I would have to go to the West Coast and find that scene and capture it myself. And you know what? It would be real, because I would go find something that I thought was beautiful and that evoked an emotion in me that had some meaning to me and capture it. When I look at the piece that Alan created using AI, the piece that won him that award, you know what comes to my mind? Nothing. It doesn't evoke any emotion, it's devoid of any real meaning because I know that a person didn't create this. A machine did. There's nothing special or inspiring or beautiful about this image, no matter how well it's shaded and textured. This is something that a lot of the proponents of AI art will argue about. They think that art is about the end product instead of the person who created it in the first place, when in reality couldn't be further from the truth. Let's look at this guy Shad Brooks as another example, a genuinely talented person who also doesn't understand art. He posted this video of him sketching this drawing as a starting point and then using AI to turn it into this final image. Dude, this sketch is better. It's cooler, because he drew it by hand. He had a vision in his head and then he created it. Then he gave it to a computer, said, make this good, and it lost all of its meaning. Just because you use AI to give her shiny tits and a six-pack doesn't make it better. He also posted this in the replies, and you may have seen this image floating around, but I want to talk about it here while we're on the topic. Check out this AI art that I made. You mean a machine made? Boom! Camera. So he thinks, as well as everyone else who looks at this image and goes, yeah, wait, it's hypocritical to criticize AI if you use a camera, is some kind of a gotcha moment. But it's not. It's the same exact thing that we were just talking about with Jason, saying that AI is another tool like a brush or a camera. Let's break this down specifically. If I go outside and I walk to the woods and I find a ladybug perfectly perched on a log and I get the perfect photo of it with good framing and good lighting, I still took the photo. There was a human being that saw that opportunity and saw beauty in that moment and had a way to capture it. And that will come across when you look at the photo online. Using AI to create that same photo wouldn't be the same thing, because I, as the viewer, know that it's not real. It's not about the end product, it's about how it got there in the first place. Otherwise, why would we give a shit about the Mona Lisa or anything that Van Gogh ever did? If I have the thought while I'm sitting at my desk, a picture of a ladybug sitting on a log, that could be pretty. And then I type a prompt into Deep AI asking for it to make one, it might be great. It might look good, but it doesn't fucking mean anything. This image looks fantastic, and it took me all of 4 seconds to make. You're seriously about to tell me you want to make the argument that somebody going out there and finding this moment in real life and capturing it isn't more beautiful, isn't more special? Get real. I can barely draw a stick figure. Can you imagine if I just started posting images like this online, acting like I was doing something special? Having a thought to make something and then being able to make slight adjustments to it after the fact is not the same thing as seeking something beautiful out in the first place. This entire video could be entirely produced by AI and it would be indistinguishable to what you're watching right now. It could write the script, it could create a narration with a voice that sounds exactly like mine, it could make me look like I'm sitting in this room with this same lighting, with my same mannerisms and idiosyncrasies. And if you've made it to this point in the video, it's probably because you want to hear what I have to say. You may agree or disagree, you might just want to know what I think, maybe I'm just on in the background, who knows. But if I just had AI make this entire video for me, then what would be the point? A YouTuber named Shun recently made a video on this same topic, and in that video he says that he thinks a lot of what the proponents of AI art think comes down to the idea that people actually want to consume AI art in the first place. And I think he's spot on. The idea that if you can't tell the difference, or that if an AI image or video is better than what a human would be able to create, then that means that people will like it and that it is better. But people don't like it. Those AI shorts that I was talking about in my last video get hundreds of millions of views because they're engaging and can hold your attention for 60 seconds because they're engineered for the algorithm and for retention, not because they're good. Nobody would watch a Casey Neistat video if it were AI generated. Maybe they would out of sheer curiosity, but it wouldn't matter if it looked better or had a better story because that's not why people consume his content in the first place. We wouldn't be getting a unique perspective on somebody else's life and experiences. Like I said, a lot of people just think that AI art is good because the end result often looks nicer than what a human would be able to create. That because you can create an image that has better shading with more vibrant colors and loads of texture, that makes it objectively better. That's why I think that this sketch from earlier is cooler than this end result. All art, even bad art, evokes the emotion and the personality of the person who created it, and that's why we like it. This is why everybody hates AI generated music. When I put on Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, I get pulled in not just by the music, but by the raw emotion that encapsulates the entire album. But you listen to it and it just gives you this unique perspective of all of the drama and the troubled life that the band was going through at the time, and that's cool. All of the breakups and emotional turmoil that comes through in the music, and that's what being a human is about, experiencing those emotions and living through it. Or when I listen to somebody like Fred again. I know we're really changing lanes here, but that's on purpose because I'm trying to make a point. I get pulled in by how he takes these mundane and normal moments and recordings from regular people like you and me and turns them into something beautiful that people can dance to at a club. AI can absolutely do this. As a matter of fact, since I started doing research for this video, I've been flooded on Instagram with a bunch of AI apps and programs that just would love to make music for me. The whole reason why we listen to music isn't because it's just pleasing and nice to listen to and has a good beat. It's because we can get a glimpse into the mind of somebody else while they were recording or producing it. It's the same thing with bad paintings, drawings, movies, TV shows. We love bad movies. We love bad music because we wonder what was going through the mind of the person who created it at the time. If AI made The Room by Tommy Wiseau, it would just be another shitty movie.
How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Instead, we got this incredible story of this weird guy who somehow got $6 million to make this movie, and it's legendary because of how bad it is. That 6-year-old boy whose art was used to train Midjourney, this drawing isn't bad because it's simple, it's good because a tiny human who doesn't even know he exists yet made it. He probably wet the bed the night that he made this. The whole purpose of art is to capture something beautiful, or terrifying, or sad, or meaningful. Taking something from your mind or your heart and finding a way to manifest it in a way that other people can see it and enjoy it. And the onslaught of AI is just taking away from real artists who have real things to say, and that kind of sucks. That's all I have to say about that. I know that there's been a whole ton of videos on this very topic, but I wanted to share my thoughts on it as well. Thank you for watching. Remember that reality is whatever you want it to be, and I'll see you next time.